Now, speaking about reality and the pandemic, forget the fearmongers, the nanny staters, the bedwetters. The real problem in Australia has been governments and their overreach, the paranoia, the over-the-top rules and the restrictions. For a long while, the New South Wales government has been the best of a very bad bunch, persistently trying to live with the disease, trying to stay open. Not trying hard enough, of course, but at least trying to allow people to have close to normal lives in New South Wales and leading the nation towards a common sense future. But sadly, that reputation took another step backwards today when the New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet, admittedly under pressure from his political opponents and weak elements in his own team and COVID zero shock jobs, well, they all got their way today when Perrottet decided to extend restrictions in New South Wales for another month. The restrictions aren't super heavy, but they do impose capacity limits, crippling capacity limits on bars, cafes and restaurants. They do mandate masks indoors in a lot of places too. And they also include a continuation of QR codes at many venues and shops, which is very weird to say the least, because there's so much COVID around now and there's just so little contact tracing going on. What on earth is the point of QR codes? They are pointless. It just seems redundant and frankly silly for anyone to have to check in. But it gets worse than that, because have a listen to the Premier's reasoning.
Confidence. It's effective on confidence. We're not tracking and tracing. We made that very clear. If there's a high-risk venue, then that, the health team in those circumstances may track and trace. But in the main, we are not. But it's about confidence. The reality is people feel confident checking in. And our job as government is to instill confidence in our people. We all came to the conclusion yesterday that the best thing we can continue to do in this state is instill confidence in our people. And the reality is, for a lot of people across New South Wales, they feel confident checking in. And if that provides the confidence to people to go out, to visit retail, to go out to the pub, to go out to the restaurant, then we'll keep them in during this period of time.
Confidence? New South Wales is keeping QR codes because the Karens want to pretend it helps to keep them safe? This is insane. The way to deliver confidence is to get rid of restrictions and QR codes. Some hysterical types love this stuff. You've seen them dutifully registering their QR codes, keeping their distance, struggling to breathe under double masks. And the New South Wales government keeps the QR codes going to give these people the illusion it's keeping them safe. This is so infuriating. And apparently this pandering to the bedwetters, this attempt to assuage the irrational and the paranoid, it extends to education measures too.
This is a cautious approach, a safe and measured approach as we move through this next phase, and also ensures that we continue to instill confidence, particularly in our parents, sending kids back to school.
Enough of this, eh? Enough pandering to fear, the fear that's being heightened by the media and the politicians. Enough of trying to instill confidence in those who choose to ignore the facts. It must be time for an approach that's based on science, on risk and on benefits. QR codes are now officially a joke in New South Wales, a charade kept in place to pretend we are tracing contacts when we are not. But it's against the law still not to use them. Go figure. As I keep saying, Australia has become unrecognisable.